All right, mic check, 1 2, mic check 1 2. Hopefully this works this time. Gosh. All right. Mic check. I restarted everything. I'm hoping that fixed the issue. Let's see, where are we? If you're tuned in and you can hear me, let me know. If not, let me know too. If you're tuned in and you can hear me, let me know. If you're tuned in and you can hear me, let me know. If not, let me know too. All right. Hopefully this works this time. Let's see. Again, if you can hear me, let me know. I had to restart everything. I'm hoping we are good to go. I'm going to start working on a Hellfest 2004 set. This is Shadows Fall. I'm going to give people a couple more minutes before I actually begin. Probably going to like tweet the link and everything just to allow more people some more time to get in here. 4 more minutes. So let's see. Cool. Let's see. All right, we got 4 people in here. If anyone's actually watching, let me know if you can hear me. I think the sound is working. If not, I probably got to restart again, but I really hope we're good to go. Let's see. All right, let's see. I'm going to check a couple more levels in a second. The joys of live streaming. It's like a pain in the ass to do, like, to test the stream before I go live. So I typically just go live, and then as soon as I'm live, I check to see if everything's working. And if not, then I look like an asshole. So here we are. Cool. All right, we're gonna start this in like a minute. Let me just do one more thing. Cool, all right. I'm assuming this is working. If not, then we'll restart. Anyway, so this is Shadows Fall from Hellfest 2004. If you don't know the backstory, basically, Hellfest was a big fest that was, I think the first one was like 97 or 98. Let's see. Hellfest was 96 to 2005. So, pretty big fest. It was like the major hardcore, metalcore fest in the United States from the mid-90s till the mid-2000s. Basically, the backstory is I received all of the... So there were a couple of Hellfest DVDs that came out. I think 2000 and 2003, I think, had DVDs or something like that. But basically, the 2001 and 2004 stuff never came out. And that stuff was filmed, at least 2004 was filmed by High Roller Studios. And 2001, I don't know who filmed 2001, but in any event, all that footage basically sat in an attic for like close to 10 years and was just never released. Nothing ever happened with it. Hellfest fell apart in 2005. There was a big debacle. The fest got canceled. People lost a lot of money. People never got reimbursed for their tickets. It was a big, big shit show. So fast forward to a couple years ago, maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, High Roller Studios reached out to me and they were like, hey, we're sitting on all this footage from 2001 and 2004. We don't want anymore. We don't want it anymore. We want you to have it and we want you to do something with it. So it was literally a box of 500 tapes. There's a complete list of all the bands that played on the site. If you go to hate5six.com/vote, there's a link at the bottom. There's a complete list of all the 2004 stuff that I have on there. I still haven't even looked at the 2001. I don't even know what's in the 2001 box. Again, there's like 400 to 500 tapes, and basically all of these bands have between 5 to 6, maybe 7 camera angles. And so a lot of this work is I have to digitize the tapes. I have to, well, first of all, I have to figure out what bands are on what tapes. And then secondly, I have to digitize all the tapes. Then I have to sync all the angles together. And then I have to do what I'm about to do now, which is edit or cut between the multiple angles. So none of this is edited, and I'm basically starting from scratch here. Again, I've been sitting on these tapes for 5 years. I just have not had the time to go through and work on it. But thankfully, now that I'm trying to do hate5six full time, I have the time and the ability to actually sit down and hopefully get this shit done. So this is hopefully the beginning of a recurring series of me working on Hellfest stuff on YouTube Live. Just to give people like a behind the scenes look into like what's being edited and how it's being done. I think that's kind of cool to show people all that stuff. So yeah, let's do this real quick and we'll start this. The general format for these live streams is, again, I'm sitting here editing in real time. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the chat and I will respond accordingly. Like, and then I'll pause every now and then to just sort of respond to people. But besides that, it's basically just gonna be me sitting here and editing. It might get kind of boring, but that's the nature of the beast. It's editing is fun, but it's also a lot of fucking work, and it's a lot of just like sitting here and watching 5 camera angles play simultaneously and literally just clicking and cutting between them. So hopefully this gives you a little sense into how the stuff is made. Cool. So what I've done so far is I've taken, so just to rewind a little bit more, this is Shadows Fall. If you don't know Shadows Fall, they're a metalcore band from Massachusetts. Let's see. They played This Is Hardcore, I think, a couple years ago. Did they play? Wait. Let's see. I don't know if I've actually seen Shadows Fall. No. I'm thinking of... So Brian Fair, who is the singer of Shadows Fall, he was in another band, Downcast. And, no, sorry, Overcast, not Downcast. Overcast, and they played This Is Hardcore a couple years ago, so that's the closest I've seen to Shadows Fall, if you want to call it that. But anyway, so this set has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 camera angles. It's a lot. This might be the most I've ever done, so it's going to be an interesting experiment. So we have a drum camera here. This top track's drum cam. This bottom camera is like a pit camera. I'm going to mute the audio real quick for 1 second. So if you're watching the screen, so yeah, this is the this top one is drum cam. Below that is pit cam. Below that is stage right. And some guy wearing some sort of costume. Below that is they had a camera on a jib, a mechanical like crane, basically getting overhead shots that was moving around, which is kind of cool. So we have that one. Below that we have a front of house tripod shot that's fairly stable. I guess someone was panning a little bit here and there, but it's fairly dead on. Moves a little bit. Below that we have stage left, and below that we have, what do we have? This might be like behind the kit or behind one of the stacks. Yeah, okay, so this is like behind stage left. It's similar to stage left, but it's more focused on the crowd. So that's what we're working with. Again, I've already synced everything. Syncing can be a kind of a pain in the ass, but I had to do it manually, at least in this case. So we are ready to go. Now, one of the issues is there's no soundboard recordings for any of the Hellfest stuff. All of the sound is absolute shit. I'll play for you what I have, and oh cool, we actually got people. We got people in the chat finally. The guy wore the Winnie Pooh costume the whole weekend. That's crazy. I don't know how you can manage doing that, but I got to give you props. Whoever that was, I give him props for wearing that costume all weekend. So what's up, Wild Weasel and Only One? Thanks for tuning in. So what I'm about to do now is I'm going to play a little bit of the audio that I do have. So all of these 7 camera angles do have audio, but they are varying degrees of quality. So I'll play through them, and you'll hear it's just not great. So what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to pick the best sounding one that I can work with and just go with that. If people have comments, about what they think sounds best, leave them in the chat. But I'll show you what I'm working with. It's not great, but let's just get started.
Goddamn. So this is day 1 of Hellfest, huh? Y'all is some crazy ass. We'll be awarding a fresh bottle of spring water to the best stage dive I see all night, so step it up. We'll be judged on style, difficulty, and painfulness. Not to yourself, but to everyone else. Josh's cow boots are still in the lead though, so. All right, what's next? I'm gonna sell this thing. All right, this is a brand new fucking song. You wanna hear some new shit? All right, then open this motherfucker up. This is the power of I and Die.
All right, so hopefully you heard that. I kind of just like cycled through the audio. It's again varying degrees of shit. Basically, I feel like the best one that we have to work with is going to be this track, which I think is the pit camera. We might be able to mix it with one of the other ones, but at least I basically need a reference track to cut to. So I will use one of these audio tracks just to edit along with. And then I might spend some more time later actually mixing this audio track with one of the other ones just to even it out a little bit. But again, this is sort of what we got to deal with. There probably was a soundboard recording at one point, but it just got lost over the years. Again, like this stuff was sitting in boxes in an office, and then they got rescued, and then they sat in an attic for 10 years, and then I got them. And by the time I got them, there was no more soundboard feed. And then I've had them for the last 5 years, and so yeah, these tapes have been through hell and back. But anyway, I'm excited to finally get cracking on them. Yeah, so someone's mentioning that someone jumped off the upper balcony and smashed their legs. I've heard a bunch of, so I wasn't there. Hellfest 2005 was the first year that I was gonna go, but I remember hearing that at 04, someone jumped off. Was it during like Red Chord or something? They jumped off and they literally smashed both their legs and had to be like carried out or something. That's all I've heard. I haven't watched the Red Chord footage. If that's what it is, I haven't watched it yet, so I don't know if it's caught on tape, but that would be kind of nuts if it's actually on there. Len is saying he had a busted shoulder by this point. If you don't know Len runs Landmine Studios in Trenton. Trenton/Princeton area. Correct me if I'm wrong. Len does all of my soundboard mixing and mastering for This Is Hardcore. He runs a really great studio, so if you're in the area and you need a recording engineer, I highly recommend Len. He's very experienced, and he just opened up his own studio, and it's really beautiful. And yeah, can't recommend that enough. So yeah, here's what we're working with. This is like a 35-minute set. Again, I feel like this pit camera audio is what we're gonna have to deal with in terms of at least what I'm gonna cut to. We're gonna go with that. So typically what I like to do is once I have everything synced, and so just so everyone knows, I'm editing in Adobe Premiere Creative Cloud 2018. Been using this for a couple months now. So typically for doing multi-camera editing, what I do is I have one sequence, in this case sequence 2, that has everything synced already. All the audio and videos lined up, it's synced together. What I then do is I basically create another sequence, which is what I'm doing here. I'm creating this other one. I'll call this MC for multicam. And so what this is basically sequence 2. Again, and sequence 2 is all of this shit. Sequence 2 has everything synced. I've basically put that sequence within another sequence. It's called nesting. So I've nested the sequence within this other new sequence called MC. And what I can do now is I can right-click this, and I can go to multi-camera and enable. And this is gonna bring up, if I go here to, oh, yeah, I always forget. So on Creative Cloud 2018, you have to go to this button editor down here on the right side of the screen. You gotta click that. And then you have to click this guy here. This is the toggle multi-camera view. And I guess you can do Shift 0 maybe? That's what it says. Let's try it. Shift 0. There you go. So anyway, once you enable multicam on this nested track and you click Control 0, or Shift 0, it brings up this window, and this is all the camera angles synced together and playing at the same time. So I need to make sure that all of these are actually enabled. So here, I'm back on sequence 2. Again, this has all of the tracks lined up. Sorry, I have Facebook notifications still turned on, so people are still messaging me, and they're popping up on the screen. So if you see it, there you go. These little eyes here, it represents whether the track is toggled on or off. So basically right now the top track, it has this cross through it, so it's toggled off, but if I click it again, it's toggled back on. That should be the drum camera. If I go to, if I switch this to like reference monitor, no, I don't want that. Let me go back to here. Basically, I want to turn these back on, otherwise they'll be off, and I won't see them in the multi-camera monitor. Cool. So all 7 are enabled. So if I go back to MC, we'll see. Here we go. 7 camera angles, all playing simultaneously. My friend Towers tuned in. He's asking about multi-camera. He's asking, how do you put everything in a multi-angle sequence? Because when I do it, it says not all files can be put as multi-angle. I've never seen that. Again, what I do is I have one sequence here. This sequence has everything. So I can basically drop everything in here. Sorry, my like mouse is going to shit, so it's like sometimes double click is single click and single click is double click. It's like really driving me insane. But anyway, once you have everything in a sequence, like you have to have them stacked. So here again, all 7 of these angles are stacked on top of each other. So I have the bottom one, which is stage left. Above that, I have, I think this is the other stage left or something. Above that is the front of house tripod. Above that is the overhead camera jib. Above that is, well, you get the idea. Basically, you have to layer all the videos, and once they're layered and you have them enabled, you can drop that whole sequence within another sequence. So that's what I've done here. I've basically, I've taken sequence 2, which is this, right? Sequence 2 is everything stacked, and I've put sequence 2 within another sequence. In this case, I've called it MC from Multicam. So once it's in here, you can right-click on this sequence, and you can go to multi-camera and enable, and that'll bring up the multi-camera monitor. And again, once you hit play, it's going to play all 7 angles simultaneously. So that's how I do it. I don't know if you're using Premiere or something else, but this has always worked for me, so I'm not sure. If you want to message me offline, maybe I can try helping you, but that's sort of all I have for you right now. Yeah, so we're gonna start this. This is gonna be a pain in the ass because I've never edited 7 camera. Like, it's gonna be very difficult to like watch what's going on between 7 camera angles. So this is gonna be an interesting experience, to say the least. So one thing I'm gonna do is, sometimes Premiere is a little finicky, and I have to duplicate the audio track, which is what I'm doing here. So now we should be able to hear it. No, maybe not. Let's see. So I'm having this issue now where even though we have clearly like a waveform here, like we have an audio signal, it's not playing on this track, and I don't know why that's the case. Like something's muted and I don't know what it is. And this happens every now and then and I don't know why.
Technical difficulties. Hold on 1 second, please. How the fuck we all doing? Goddamn. We're Shadows Fall from Massachusetts. It's great to be here. It's our first fucking Hellfest, so it's good to be here with all y'all. Hopefully we'll get our shit fixed and we'll keep moving. Oh well. Normally this is the point in the set where I drink a beer, but that ain't gonna happen up here. Oh well. This is other shit that comes in a bottle. I don't know what this is, but I'll give it a try. Difficulties. Hold on 1 second, please. How the fuck we all doing? You at least get honorable mention. Mr. Johnny fucking rock and roll.
All right, I don't know why the audio wasn't playing, but I basically found like a cheap hack around it. So basically what I've done is, I don't need this anymore. Delete that track. So for some reason, the audio on this nested sequence wasn't playing. So what I've done is I basically went back to sequence 2. I copied the audio track, the reference track that I'm going to use, and I've basically copied this track here, the one that's highlighted, and I've literally just pasted it in here. So it should be lined up, because the beginning of sequence 2, fuck this fucking mouse. Everything is lined up at the beginning of the track. So sometimes things are offset by a little bit, like this audio or this angle here is offset by 3 seconds, but the reference track that I'm using begins at the start, which is good, and so I can paste it here and not have to worry about it being offset. So we should be good. So I'm going to start editing this. So this will be an interesting experience. So hopefully you enjoy.
some technical difficulties. Hold on 1 second, please. How the fuck we all doing?
All right, so that's like the first 4 minutes, 5 minutes, first song, I guess. Yeah, so there's a lot going on here. Again, that was my first time cutting between 7 angles, and it's difficult to be like, all right, I'm cutting to this angle, and I'm gonna hold on here because I don't want to cut too quickly, otherwise it gets too disorienting. So it's difficult to know beforehand how long to stay on a certain shot, but it doesn't feel as sort of overwhelming as I thought it would. So pretty happy with it so far. I don't know what the attendance was, but like this is a pretty big crowd, and I think there were multiple rooms. If you're still watching the stream and you were at Hellfest, like I'd love to hear more about what it was like to be there. This was at Rexplex in Elizabeth, New Jersey, and I guess it was like an indoor sports complex. This looks like it was like a soccer field or something. And I think that there was like indoor basketball courts and all this kinds of shit. So if you were there, like I want to hear more about what it was like to be there. Because it seems like there was this main room. It looks like people were coming in and out. If you look in the back here, it looks like people are coming in and out of another bigger room. But this just looks insane. And I don't know, beyond like this frame here, what we're looking at, I don't know how much wider it was, or if this was like most of it. I do know that there were 2 stages side by side, so you'll see that there was like this overhead shot, this jib. I guess it was placed in between the 2 stages because once one set ends, you can actually see it move, like rotate to the next stage. So, yeah. So Wild Weasel saying that there were it was like 6 soccer fields, which is crazy. So yeah, it looks like there were 2 in here, and then maybe a stage in the basketball court, which is where I know for a fact like the Bad Luck 13 shit happened. Yeah, so I don't know. Do you remember how many people were there? Like, would you say it was a couple, like low thousands, mid thousands, or what? Like, so for reference, This Is Hardcore is about 3,000 people. I'm sure I could look it up. There might be something online that says how many people were at Hellfest 2004, but this just seems massive. I mean, I see people in the crowd that I know now, and they're like, you know, obviously, what, like 14 years younger or whatever, but it's crazy to see how many people are in here, which is, it's just nuts. Yeah, so he's saying that they sold merch on the other 2 fields adjacent to this. It's just crazy. It's crazy. I don't even know if this place is still standing, but I can only imagine what it was like to be there. And so I guess, was the balcony... Was there also a balcony? The balcony was in this room or in the other room? My assumption is that there was a balcony in this room, sort of like, I don't know if it surrounded the whole floor or if it was just on the sides or what. I don't know. The whole thing is just like I said, I never attended this one, so it exists in my mind as like just it only exists in my imagination beyond these videos. So for me, it's cool to hear more about what the show was actually like from people who were there. So let's keep going.
Goddamn. We're Shadows Fall from Massachusetts. It's great to be here. It's our first fucking Hellfest, so it's good to be here with all y'all. Hopefully we'll get our shit fixed, and we'll keep moving. Oh well. Normally this is the point in the set where I drink a beer, but that ain't gonna happen up here. Oh well. This is other shit that comes in a bottle. I don't know what this is, but I'll give it a try.
there's like so many stage dives in here. Like, for me, it's sad to say that I don't see as many stage dives like this anymore. And I think that's just because the dynamics of crowds have been changing. But it's cool to see a lot of people up front. It's cool to see there is moshing going on, and obviously, like, it's cool to see stage diving. It's very nice to see everything happening all at once, and it's not one thing dominating everything else. So maybe I'm getting old, but it'd be cool to see more shows like this where there's different styles of people going off. It's not just, you know, punching people in the fucking face and crowd killing, but it's a mix of everything. And I feel like that creates an environment where more people are able to have fun, and it gives a better response to the band, and it probably makes the experience better for everyone involved. But hey, that's just my opinion. So we're about 10 minutes into this 35-minute set. Let's keep going. This reference track doesn't sound that bad. Again, it's not like a soundboard recording, but it could be worse. I'll probably do a little bit of processing on it just to clean it up a little bit, but for the most part, it's not bad. I'm kind of just like, when it comes to the Hellfest stuff, it's just, I'm grateful for whatever I can get out of these recordings. So on the whole, I think this is pretty decent. So let's keep going. I'll shut up and keep going.
Thank you. Goddamn. So this is day one of Hellfest, huh? Y'all are some crazy ass motherfuckers. We'll be awarding a fresh bottle of spring water to the best stage dive I see all night, so step it up. You'll be judged on style, difficulty, and painfulness. Not to yourself, but to everyone else. Josh's cow boots are still in the lead though, so. All right, what's next? I'm gonna sell this thing. All right, this is a brand new fucking song. You wanna hear some new shit? All right, then open this motherfucker up. This is the power of I and Die. Thank you. Man, it's been a long fucking day. I spent way too much time on the mini ramp, so I'm a little tired, but I'll suck it up. We still fucking alive out there or what? Good, because you can't stop the rock. Alright. This next one, if you know the words, I want to hear you sing along. This one is called The Idiot Box. we got some shit to fix. Woo! Are you with me or what, motherfuckers? Come on. All right. We got a few more songs left for you all. We're gonna bring it back to some older shit. Anyone out there got the Of One Blood record? Anybody? Shit, all right. That was very nice of you. Give that man a Cupid doll. All right, we ready? Move this fucking place, you ready? Yeah, you guys have been fucking amazing. Thank you so very, very, very much. We appreciate it, man. Means a lot to us. I hope these guys get back from California. Throw any loose change you have in your pockets in the general direction of the two men with a sign. All right. We got time for 2 more songs left for you all. And then we is out. Be ready for The War Within, coming your way September 21st on Century Media. This next song goes out to everyone who's been coming to see us in this area for a long fucking time. Jersey's always treated us very fucking well, and it's gonna be back in front of all you motherfuckers. This one is The Destroyer of Senses. motherfuckers. Last chance to dance. I want to see everyone fucking moving. Front to back. Everyone, they're not moving. You fucking move them. Shut it off. Thank you guys so fucking much. The Shadows Fall from Massachusetts.
Alright, so that's it. It went by faster than I thought it would. So basically, that's the first pass of this. I'm gonna have to spend another like hour or two later. I'm gonna rewatch it again, make sure all those cuts are clean, roughly where I want them, and then I'm also gonna spend some time cleaning up the audio, like I said, a little bit more. Whoops, I don't want to do that. So where are we at here? Just a couple quick things. Yeah, so someone's asking if I have footage of the Ataris from this year. I do. I haven't watched it yet, so I don't actually know how many angles there are. Actually, I could probably figure that out real quick. I can probably tell you how many angles there are. There's probably maybe 4 or 5. But I haven't watched it, so I don't know the quality of it. But we will get to that sooner than later. Anyway, that's it for now. I gotta go run some errands, but I'm gonna probably work on this set a little bit more tonight, and then tomorrow, the next day, I'll be back on live, working on another Hellfest set. So my plan is for most of July is just to be go live as often as I can to work on more Hellfest stuff. So if you're looking for certain sets from Hellfest 2004, you should subscribe. Make sure you subscribe. And you'll see me working on those sets sooner than later. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.